I'm Kim Lee, and this is my host, Stuart Lee. And today's conversation is about health, community, and intentional living, and how those come together in something called building healthy communities. Our guest has a background in healthcare, recently relocated from Texas, and has launched a plant-based focused community organization in Margaritaville. What I loved most when I first met her is her passion, which you were very excited about it, not just for food, but for how community, lifestyle, and purpose shape healthy living.
Yes.
So today, Stuart?
Welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you.
Thank you for stopping by today and sharing your knowledge with us. So how did you get started in healthcare?
So my background, I am a research scientist. I was on faculty at UT Health San Antonio, which is our medical school in San Antonio. Prior to that, I worked for a nonprofit organization who focused more on kind of integrative medicine and had the unique opportunity of meeting some wonderful individuals who were researchers, clinicians in the food as medicine space. And one of those, who became a dear friend and colleague, David Eisenberg. We worked on a project together, which was a collaboration between the Department of Defense, Samueli Institute, Harvard School of Public Health, and the Culinary Institute of America, which I like to say the good CIA. And so we did this Teaching Kitchens program. My specialty is curriculum development, so that's why I was brought onto the team to work on the curriculum piece. And to kind of make it short, we taught service members the power of food, the importance of food, and how to cook. So we took these group of people who we think of as being optimally healthy and wanted to see, could we help move the needle on their biomarkers with food? And it was a great experience. And that's where I really had kind of that aha moment, the power of food. And it's kind of launched from there.
So that was where the spark came from.
That was where the spark came from, yeah.
So you and your husband have had some interesting life experiences. Can you share a little about your journey from Texas to Florida?
Yes. So my husband spent 30 years in the Marine Corps on active duty. Was from San Antonio, retired to San Antonio. We met while we both worked at Brooke Army Medical Center. I was embedded in the burn unit there on a research project. And we met there, and it's been a whirlwind, since then. But I was born in Marianna, Florida, just right up the road. So came here every summer as a child, and now through my young adult years, to visit grandparents and extended family, and of course to come to the beach. And being an Army brat, my dad did 34 years in the Army, traveled around the world. You can't beat these beaches. They are truly the most beautiful in the world.
Yeah, they're definitely attracting.
Right? And
I agree with that.
yeah, and so as we began to think of our sunset years, as people, like to call retirement, that slowing down, that slower pace, and we began to kind of look around, we were drawn to the Emerald Coast, and we wanted kind of that chance to exhale. We both had very busy careers and just wanted to be able to slow down and kind of enjoy life, and began to do things that were important to us, which also, this is a great place to, I think, to live your best life. That's what I think retirement is. It's your best life.
That is true. Do you, once you got here, do you feel like it's relaxing, or do you feel like there's still a lot of movement what's your perception once you got here?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a slower pace because we came from a pretty big city. But it's a case too, there's so much activity should you choose to be involved, and definitely where we live in Margaritaville. You can do something every day. There's something going on every day. And I feel that it's that way along the Emerald Coast. There's so many festivals and activities and things going on. But there's also that, I like when I hear people say, you're on beach time. You know, you don't have to be in this frenzied hurry anymore. And, you know, I always say too, we live in a place that people spend a lot of money to come vacation, and we live here. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Plant-based living, please explain that.
So
Some people like me think that's being a vegan, but
yes, and I think there is that misconception. And even with building healthy communities, initially it fell under an umbrella where they were called plant pods. And I think that too had this kind of connotation that everyone's vegan, that we eat like rabbits. And that's not the case. So to me, when I say plant-based living, or I like to say whole foods plant-based, it's trying to incorporate more plants into our diet because we know there's so many tremendous health benefits from that. But it doesn't mean, for me, it doesn't mean plants only, but let's focus on whole foods. To me, I would be more prone to encourage people, let's move away from processed foods. Let's get some whole foods on our plate. Does it have to be our whole plate? Not if you choose not to. And that's what building healthy communities is about. Meeting people where they are, encouraging them to incorporate more plants into their diet, but not saying you have to be vegetarian, you have to be vegan. Let's meet you where you are.
but that is a lifestyle change just by what you put in your body.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And I say all the time, I can't control a lot of things in life. And I think coming from that clinical, that medical perspective, I saw that a lot with people. There wasn't much once certain diseases come on board that people feel that they have lost control, but I can control what I put on the end of a fork. And that's what we want to encourage people to be mindful about what we're eating, to be mindful about what we're putting on our plate, and to encourage people to add more plants. I like to say that 80-20 rule, you know, have 80% that it's that kind of more healthy options. But also food and life is meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to be celebrated. And it's not meant to be, you know, a punishment or, you know, when I hear people say, I'm going to try this diet, I'm like, why on earth would you do anything where the first 3 letters are die?
Yeah,
I know. Right? I
True.
feel that's punishing. I'm like, no, it's about lifestyle. It's about behavior changes. And it's about doing it together.
What do you think are the biggest misconceptions with people and plant-based diets? And you're saying plant-based as in it's the majority of
Yes,
the food.
yeah.
Okay.
That it's kind of that plant forward. I think one of the biggest things is people think, it's going to be hard, that it's going to be really difficult to do. And I think that's what's sad. We've made food complicated, and it doesn't have to be complicated. That it means I can't ever enjoy some of the things that I like. You know, I'll be the first to say I love chocolate. Am I going to have it every day? No. Am I going to eliminate it from my life entirely? No. And so just kind of, and to me, it's even more enjoyable on those times now that I get to enjoy it. So it's not a punishing lifestyle. So I think that's the first thing, that they think it's going to be too difficult, that I'm going to miss out on things, that I'm limited in my choices. And I'm like, if you look at all the plant-based things that are out there, fruits and vegetables, herbs, spices, it's, to me, there's more options than the alternative,
And
right?
there's even sweeteners. I mean, you can
Yes, yeah,
you can leave sugar, and especially the modified sugars,
Right.
the corn syrups
right,
and monk fruit and stevia.
right. So true, so true.
So cocoa is the plant-based, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
good. Got to clear that up.
It's more what do they add to it, you know, and that's where we try to encourage people. And that's what Building Healthy Communities does. We try to be a resource. We are not the food police. We have, you know, workshops. We do monthly meetings where we talk about the importance of plants. Quarterly, we're doing a plant-based potluck where whoever comes to the meeting brings a plant-based dish to share and the recipe. So it's great. We get to try new things, and it may be a case if you've never cooked with a certain ingredient, someone brings a recipe and now you get to taste it before, you go invest in an entire bag of quinoa, something like that. You get to sample it. So that's what we try to do, just expose people to different plant type items.
Well, besides the plants, are there, like, what else do you get into?
Well, I can say like recently we did a screening of Plant Pure Nation, which was just what Building Healthy Communities was founded on. That's over a decade ago. So we did a screening for our community, have the opportunity to view that documentary. We'll be doing some more screenings of documentaries this year. This month, our February meeting, we're going to have an author come in, and she's going to do a presentation, Christina Moros, for her book. So we try to do not just food, but also resources. We are going to do some field trips this upcoming year. Yesterday, we had a group of us that met at a restaurant that has a great vegetarian menu to see that you can still go out with your friends. But also, if you go into a restaurant that maybe doesn't have a standalone vegetarian option, how can I still order where it's still primarily plant-based, or where it is just plant-based? What are some things that I can ask for substitutions? And what I have found is restaurants here in both Bay County and Walton County have been so accommodating. When I go in and I say, can I substitute this for some sliced avocado, or for some, beans, that kind of thing. They're very accommodating. So we try to do that. We haven't even been in existence for a full year yet, so we're trying to, map that out, what that's going to look like, and also ask our community, what are some things that you want to know more about? I don't want it to be me driven, because my needs are going to be very different, Kim, than your needs, and then Lee's needs. And so how can we bring that together, that it's truly a community?
So do you have, are you planning on having classes and?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that. So first, let me say to you, for our monthly meetings that we have, there is no cost for anyone in Margaritaville. Right now, it's limited to Margaritaville to come. And we are hoping to bring in, for instance, some cooking demonstrations, because sometimes that too can be a little overwhelming as we move into retirement life. And now we're cooking for one or we're cooking for two. How do we do that? So we will do that. And we always want it to be that it's open to anyone within Margaritaville, that anyone can come to that, no matter where they are on their health journey. So yes, we will do workshops, we will do field trips, we will do, my side of the world is science. So I like to bring in the journal articles, and that's what I hope to do this year as well. Let's look at the science behind this, because science evolves. Nutrition research is evolving faster than sometimes I feel like I can keep up with. It's like drinking from a fire hose, which we want that to happen. And I will hear people say, well, they may quote something that was from, and I know the science was from 10 years ago, and it's hard to change behaviors when we feel we're doing the right thing, and that's what I try to say, that be mindful. The science changes behind this. It doesn't mean what you learned 10 years ago was wrong. It's just we've learned more now, and we want science to constantly evolve. We don't want to be doing the things we did 40 years ago with nutrition. So, yeah. So that's my piece. I try to bring in
Maybe
the science piece.
60 years ago,
Right?
40 years ago, they started messing with our nutrition for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about the seed oils?
Well, and there again, you're going to get some conflicting information on
Definitely.
that. And that's where I try to also be mindful that, first of all, I can't prescribe and I can't diagnose. And so I always try to tell people, you have to work step in step with your provider. But at the same token, you need to be your biggest health advocate. So what works for me may not necessarily work for Lee or for my husband or for you, even if it's in the plant-based world. You know, there are some people who can't eat certain fruits and vegetables. There are some people who can't eat certain things if they're raw. They need them cooked. That type of thing, that we're all bio-individual, and we need to figure that path out. And the best way to do that is with our providers. I believe in the word integrative medicine, and I think it's sad that nutrition has kind of been pushed out of our medical model, and we need to integrate it back. I don't believe in alternative. I don't think it's an either or. I think these things need to work hand in hand. So that's where we try to encourage people. Be an advocate for yourself. Ask for that referral to registered dietitians, to nutritionists, especially if there's a diagnosis on board. I hope that we get to the place one day in our medical model that nutrition is just automatically a piece of that medical team. But we're not quite there yet. So that's where we have to advocate and bring the science. So with seed oils, back to your question, you will get conflicting information. And again, I think it goes to that individual. Some people can tolerate, for instance, olive oil, and I would be the first to say there are times I cook with it and there are times that I don't. Again, those cooking demonstrations to show that it's a misconception that we need some type of oil to cook. We don't. We can actually cook with a vegetable broth. We can cook with water. We don't need oil. Are there times when oil is nice to include because it will enhance the flavor in food? Absolutely. But we don't always have to have it. And you may find that you work better with an olive oil versus an avocado oil. But it may be a case, it's the recipe as well. So, yeah.
And then the air fryers now, you really don't even have to use any oil, just pop them in.
Right. And air fryers are great. And then you'll have to look at that too, right? What's the air fryer made of?
Oh,
What's being put into our food the minute we throw it in the air fryer? So it's all that, and
it almost gets too overwhelming.
It does.
Because you're looking, okay, you can't use the plastics. You can't use plastic bags, but you bought it in plastic. And
correct.
so even the fruits and vegetables that you're buying fresh, they're going into.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And the whole.
It becomes frustrating.
Right. How they're grown.
And so then that kind of leads me to the 55 plus. How are people in the community that you're working with, how are they handling this? Do they want to try new, or do they have more time, actually? Does it work better for them?
I think yes to all of those. We've been received well in the community. So I'll first say that even our HOA, people that are in our leadership out at our community, have really embraced this and are excited about it. And they want to learn more themselves about it. I think people, we want to be healthy. I haven't met someone yet that says, no, I prefer not to feel well.
Yeah.
And I think when we get to this 55 plus, and that's how I love how Margaritaville advertises themselves. They don't advertise as a retirement community. They advertise as an active community.
Yes.
And they're definitely active.
Smart.
Right? And I think when I look back before I hit this age, even I used to think, well, as you age, it means illness. It means not feeling well. It means diminished quality of life.
It means slowing
down.
Having trouble getting out of the chair.
Right. And what I'm finding as I'm meeting people like yourselves and people within our community, it's just the opposite. I'm beginning to see that this is actually our best life. We finally have time for things that we didn't have time for before, whether it's hobbies,
New careers.
And then even this, we have time for our health. And that's what I see, people kind of beginning to pay attention to that. Our fitness center buzzes with activities every day.
I bet.
There's over 20 pickleball teams, and these are all people who are, quote, old, and I'm like, oh no, we're the new young. And so
probably get more exercise than the young people that are going to work every day and taking their children everywhere. I mean, they're having to work it in on the fly.
They are.
And you get to plan it.
And we get to plan.
We
And
get
we
to
get to
plan.
sit down and enjoy food when we have a meal together. There's a group for everything. And pretty much with every group, whether it's Mahjong or, the book clubs, bunko, those types of things, food's involved.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
Center
nice
of our
to,
universe.
right? Food brings us together. And so we're just trying to, as we do these things with food, let's just be a little mindful about those things. And I tell people kind of my litmus test for when I make food decisions, not all the time, but I try to, like I said, my 80-20 rule. I look at that and I ask myself, is this going to help me? Or does this potentially harm me? And that's how I kind of make my food decisions. And does it mean I don't indulge at time? Absolutely not. But then it becomes that case when I do, I don't feel guilty about it because I've made that mindful decision. So if it's, a piece of chocolate cake that I have intentionally said, I'm going to enjoy that, I'm going to enjoy it.
I'm going to hide it every year.
The hardest part for me to walk by in Publix is the bakery.
Yeah.
You touched on some misconceptions of plant-based living.
Yeah.
How is the 55 community, say in Margaritaville, receiving this? Because we've grown up eating healthy food to fast food, and now we're going back to healthy food. So,
I kind of put it out there. I wanted to do something, like you said, you have the opportunity to really go after things that you're passionate about. And food is something that I am passionate about. So when I began to look at bringing this to our community, which was last summer, I kind of put it out there, and I had 12 people from our community who said, hey, I want to be a part of this. And so we met initially just in my home once a month, and they would, we would bring dishes to share. And I asked them, are we willing to now kind of take this to our community at large? Do we think we'll have enough interest? We have almost 200 people on our Facebook page. We monthly have 35 to 40 people attending our monthly gatherings.
That's large.
that's significant.
Yeah. So for not even being a year in this process, and are all of those people who come or who have joined the Facebook page 100% plant-based? No. And that's okay. But are they saying, hey, I would like some more information about this? And what does this look like? What does this journey look like? Yeah, they're curious. And so I think we've been well received. Have us on next year and we can tell you where we are.
I know.
In a
we'll
year.
do a yearly update.
Yeah, an update and see where we are.
So, if there's so much conflicting things that come out about food, like one month coffee is great. Next month, coffee causes cancer. The next month, coffee keeps you from getting cancer.
Yes.
It is so crazy that you get to the point where you just aren't going to listen. I'm not listening to a lot anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's too ping-pongy.
And didn't they just turn the food pyramid upside down?
Yeah, and I still have issues with that food pyramid, but that's a whole other discussion. But
I don't even think they should have a food pyramid on. I mean, it's like you said, some people can eat wheat, some people can't eat wheat products. Some people can eat meat, some people can't eat meat. It is just, you just have to have a square.
Yeah. Well, and I think, when we use the acronym for our food pyramid is the Standard American Diet. That acronym is SAD, S-A-D, and it is kind of sad. What the general population gets, like you said, this conflicting information. So for me, that's the other important piece of building healthy communities is we try to guide people to legitimate, credible information. Whether it's Dr. Bernard's group, who Building Healthy Communities falls under his umbrella. He's a physician who has been in this space for several decades. He shares the science freely. You don't have to subscribe to get the information. So he's just a very generous person, and his focus is on turning the needle back on disease. That we don't have to wait for a diagnosis, that how can we do the prevention piece. So I'm kind of constantly steering people to that science. I've done lit searches for people who come to me and say, I have this diagnosis and I'm getting such conflicting information. And I'll do a quick lit search to say, here's the latest science on that diagnosis. I've even gone through and highlighted some of the articles because medical journals can be difficult to read. Not everybody has that science background. So that's where I feel, coming from the science world, that we've kind of done an injustice to our community in not translating that science so a layperson can better understand it. But certain people within the food as medicine space have done that. And that's where I try to direct people to. If you have that question, for instance, about coffee, let's guide you to the appropriate science, not Dr. Internet, that we do a quick search
or
and things.
ABC or NBC, because that's,
Yes.
That's your first place you're going to hear it.
Yeah, but let's go to the true science.
Right.
What is it telling us? So yeah, so we try to be that type of a resource.
And then we have doctors love to talk about the blue zones, and that is a big thing with plant-based diets, especially when they're wanting you to go in that direction.
Yes, I am a big advocate for the blue zones, and sadly, in the United States, we only have one, which is where it is, and we've talked about this in Loma Linda, California, and I think we should have more of those in our country. I would love to see, whether it's Latitude, Margaritaville, or Panama City, to become one of those. And that's what we're trying to work towards. And to me, any area that kind of focuses on retired individuals, there's no reason why we can't be. We kind of have certain things already built in that blue zones have. So that's ultimately my goal. I would love to see that happen here.
Now, our blue zone in this country is Mennonite.
A Seventh-day Adventist would be more in line with it, and that's what we see in Loma Linda, is a Seventh-day Adventist. But it's not just nutrition, as you know, that they focus on. It's lifestyle.
Right.
It's nutrition is a piece, movement is a piece, spirituality is a piece, community is a piece. So it's numerous pieces of a lifestyle, which to me is kind of where we are in this retired life. To me, those things become very important now at this time in my life. I feel like I finally have time for those things. So that's what we're trying to do, is build an actual community, that we don't just focus on the nutrition piece, that we bring the other pieces into play as well. And we're kind of lucky in Margaritaville, we kind of have that inherently already in place, that we don't have to try too hard to put those things in place. We have a lot of that built in for us.
And everything you just said, every one of the things you just listed are part of our podcast. Over and over and over, we have talked about community and lifestyle and moving and healthy eating.
Yeah.
All of that is a part to living fully all the way up until 90 or 100. You don't want to be where in the position where you are not moving.
Correct. Yeah. To me, it's not about quantity. It's about quality.
It is.
And that's, to me, the biggest piece is, whether I have another 30 years or I have another year, I want it to be quality. And like I said, we've moved into a place where we feel these are the friends that you and I talked about, where we get to choose who our friends are. They're not just because that's who our kids play soccer with or those types of things. And these are also the friends that we're going to spend the rest of our years with now. And I want my friendship group to have that quality of life, that we're healthy together, that we're all walking up and down the beach together in our sneakers when we're 100, that kind of a thing. So to me, it's about that quality of life.
Well, you also told me that you wanted to get this going in more communities.
I do.
So tell us a little about that and how you plan on
Spreading the word.
Well, that would be my thing for anyone who's listening to your podcast, especially if they're here in Bay County. I would love to partner with someone that now, because we've seen it's starting to take root in Margaritaville. Now, how can we bring this out into Panama City? To bring this building healthy communities where we become a resource here. We have, a monthly meeting here in Panama City to begin to grow together, because that's the community building piece. So I would love to see this. There is a group in Tallahassee, but that's kind of our next closest group. We need a group here. Margaritaville is kind of setting the framework. So if there's anyone or you or anybody that would like to do this, we would love to continue to grow this.
Now, this doesn't have an age, does it?
No. Building healthy communities doesn't.
I feel like all this information needs to be passed to the younger generations as well.
Yeah, and
so they can start earlier than we have at this age.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with Building Healthy Communities, the bigger organization, and they're actually worldwide. They have communities worldwide now. It is open to all ages. We just, because we're in latitude, we're limited to our community. But if we can get it out here in Bay County, that would be to anyone who's interested in health and wellness, in this kind of the blue zones, to quality of life for their health and their families and the people that they care about. We would love to open it up.
And I feel like more and more people are changing to a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about our age and younger.
Yeah.
So what would somebody need to do to get this going?
They could contact me, and I would be happy to connect them. And because with Building Healthy Communities, I'm a facilitator and I have a co-facilitator. We do this together. There would be some things they would have to go through and meet with that leadership. And we have monthly office hours where we meet with the Building Healthy Communities big community out of DC, and they give us information. There's like a leader portal that we're a part of, but that kind of shows us how to run our meetings and things like that. But I would love to connect if there's somebody out here listening that would like to be a part of this, and let's get this happening in Bay County. There's no reason why we can't. We live in paradise.
You can do it we definitely live in paradise. So you can start as small as having a meeting in your home. You don't need it. And are there materials that you,
there's materials that we have that the organization makes available to us at no cost, because they're a nonprofit, and that's how kind of grants work. They can support their initiative that way. And and then what we found with other organizations, so like with us in Margaritaville, we have, a meeting space, so we're able to do that. With other community organizations, they may, as the group grows, they may meet in a library room. They may meet in a church room that they offer to the community, those types of things. So that would be something with whoever, would want to do this that we look at, and we would work on that together if the group outgrows like a meeting space. Or some people, don't want to have meetings in their home, and that's fine too. We would work on finding a public space together that we could do this together. Yeah.
Well, that is very interesting. And anybody that wants to look into this, we will put the information on this podcast in our show notes, and we'll put it on our website. Thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you.
We really appreciate everything you told us. Stuart and I are very into trying to be healthy.
Yes.
And
healthy.
Move.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, we want to remind you about our Retired Life Wish You Were Here merchandise, from coffee mugs and wine glasses to hats, shirts, and beach bags. anything and everything we create is about celebrating the next chapter of our life, where freedom, friendship, and adventure take over. Thank you for listening today, and we would love for you to subscribe if you'll look below and push that button. Thank you.